What you should expect from your property manager. Everybody thinks you should smile all the time. Life isn't always happy. If you're going to be a real estate investor, sometimes you're grumpy, you're irritable, and that's just how it is. People say, I want to be an entrepreneur, to be so happy, I'm happy, happy, happy. It's not just roses, it's thorns too, okay? You're going to get stuck. So you're not always happy and smiling and cheery when you're doing real estate investing. FYI, you can insert that anywhere. So what does a real estate property manager do? You're going to learn what you should expect from your property manager, what they should be doing for you, and how to keep an eye on them and make sure they're servicing your property and taking care of you as an owner. I'm also going to show you some of the pitfalls of property management and how they can cost you thousands of dollars, and tell you a story at the end of a situation I had with a property management company that really, well, I'll tell you. So property management companies are important as a real estate investor because most of the time you're going to want to have one or hire one unless you're a small investor and you're doing it yourself. One of the main benefits of having a property management company is you don't have to deal directly with your residents or tenants, that they will deal with the property management company. And so you won't have any idea what the heck's going on unless your property management tells you or you go by and look at the property. So you live or die by your management company in terms of your cash flow, the maintenance of your property, and the overall smoothness of your operation. If you're having a lot of vacancies, typically that means that the marketing that's being used to promote the property, or the condition of the property, or the management company is not filling them timely. But let's talk about the fundamentals of the property management company first. They collect your rents. They screen tenants before they move in to ensure they're qualified. They verify income. They look at their credit. They verify their rental history. They place notices when somebody doesn't pay or they're doing something wrong. They enforce the rules. They give you a monthly report which shows you your cash flow and what they spent your money on. Typically, you should be getting receipts of whatever vendors they paid or some accounting of that, usually electronically. We paid a plumber $200 because a sewer line backed up, for example. They handle tenant calls, and they also deal with maintenance issues in terms of if you need something fixed. They usually have an emergency line, so if there's a plumbing or electrical issue or an emergency, a fire in a unit, a crime, something that happens, there's an emergency number that tenants could call where they'll get a response. That's ideal anyway, and that's usually how it goes. One of the beauties of property management that a lot of people don't think about is they provide a second layer of insurance between the owner and the tenant. So instead of the tenant and the owner having direct management, putting the management in between, an intermediary between the owner and the tenant, gives another layer of insurance. So if there's an issue or something goes wrong, that insurance helps protect you, the owner, especially if it's something the property management group did or didn't do that could cause either litigation or some other problem. There's insurance there to cover it. Now, lawsuits in property are going to happen. They happen, okay? I've been involved in some myself. They're not fun. But having the insurance company for the management group involved, they provide legal counsel and do help to provide a buffer for you, and you as well also have insurance on the property. You may also have counsel, but that's two potential people that can pay in any lawsuit if there's an issue. And instead of just you, there's that other person. I find that helpful because it gives you an opportunity to not bear all the brunt and have another party involved who is dealing with the tenants, which shields you somewhat from liability because you referred and depended on the management company to do certain things that for some reason they weren't done. It's not necessarily your liability so much, even though you're the owner, you may have some, but it more falls on the management company for failing to do that. In some cases, the tenants are suing the management company and the owner is too. So that doesn't happen often, but it can happen. So most of the time in rental real estate, there's not a lot of problems as long as you have good management. They take care of the property, they keep everything working, and they communicate with the tenants and work through problems when they happen. The biggest thing that I could tell you about property management companies is that they have varying degrees of expertise and professionalism, and finding a good property management company and understanding what they do, the best thing to do is go to reviews. Now, I like reviews from tenants, because if the tenants are all complaining about the property management company, guess what? They're probably going to be moving out, right? If they're not happy with the service of the management company, then they're probably not going to be like staying a long time. I mean, do you want to stay in a place where you don't get responses, nobody fixes anything, where there's constant problems? I suggest you probably don't. As an owner, I always look to this concept. That is that I'm servicing the tenants, they are customers, so I want to do the best I can to provide them quality housing. Now, before I go into why I do that and the importance of that, don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing is going to allow you to get real experience from a real guy like me who does real estate every day, who does a lot of transactions and has a lot of tenants and has been doing this for 30 years and sees the challenges that come up and how to avoid them. So don't forget to subscribe, okay? So as a real estate investor, I love lousy management companies, okay? Because if they aren't taking care of the property, if they aren't maintaining it, if the owner isn't giving them enough money to do the repairs, or if the management company has so many properties they're really not paying attention and they're overwhelmed, they got a low staff, not enough people to keep on top of things, that usually causes a decline in the property. I live in Las Vegas, and Steve Wynn, when he had the Wynn and the Encore, and he talked about business, one of the things he used to say was, you know, we clean the carpets before they're dirty, right? We plan on doing maintenance when we know what's going to happen. Walt Disney used to say, we clean the clean windows. We don't wait for them to get dirty. We clean them to make sure they maintain clean and cleanliness. Same with your property. You clean the clean properties. You get rid of the weeds, you pick up the trash, you make the place look nice. Nobody wants to come home to a poor curb appeal property or an unpainted property or an unkept property. As an investor, you actually want properties that are mismanaged, at least I do, because they're value add. All you got to do is manage them better. You get the rents up, you can improve the way the property looks, you make the tenants happier. And at the end of the day, you can make additional equity or increase the value of the property by just good management. One of the challenges that I've seen with management, and one of the pitfalls, was a property that I was going to buy in Oakland that was managed, and half of the property was vacant. And the reason half of the property was vacant was because there was drug dealing and other problems going on in the property, and people were just moving out like crazy. And the management company was not on top of it. They were not handling these problems and addressing them. So when you buy a property that has management problems, you have an opportunity to increase revenues by increasing the way the property looks, by handling the deferred maintenance, by painting, fixing up, fixing plumbing, electrical, doing little upgrades, cleaning up the front of the property, and getting rid of potential problem tenants that may be violating the rules, and then getting tenants in there that we're going to stay and pay, and stabilize the property is the term we use, to where the rental income is where it should be, and you only have a 3 to 4 to 5% occupancy on a regular basis instead of 20 or 30 or 40% because there's so many problems with the property. So this is the most important thing about a property management company. Make sure you hire somebody that has good references. Make sure when you look at reviews, the tenant has good things to say about the management company, and make sure that you get a fair fee. Now, what's a fair fee? A fair fee is somewhere between 4 to 8%. We're going to talk about that in the next video. How much does it cost to hire a property manager? You want to know that, right? So join me in the next video. See you there.